Hello, my name is Glenn Jago. I am the chaplain at Meese Life Retirement Community in Dunedin, Florida. We've all heard the adage that trouble comes in threes. Well, in 2021, in the August September timeframe, I experienced that trouble in threes. First of all, my mother in law passed away. And then a few days later, September 1st, we had a tornado rip through our whole community. And fortunately, the Lord protected my house, but all my trees were destroyed all around the house. And then the third thing that happened was like a week and a half, even after that, when I got COVID. And it was a miserable time, suffering. I felt miserable. So, yeah, troubles do come in threes, and I'm a living testament to that. And yet, God was so gracious and faithful all the way through that. So, I want to look at something that David wrote to us because David experienced something that took place in threes as well. And it's very interesting to note in Psalm chapter 3, he says, O Lord, how many are my foes? Many are rising against me. Many are saying of my soul, there is no salvation for him in God. The struggle that David went through was in threes. First of all, Absalom, his own son, betrayed him. Second of all, the people who he served for so long revolted against him. And then third, he was in flight for his life, fleeing out of Jerusalem. And he says, my foes, oh, how Lord, how many are my foes? Well, this is a good time for David to just abandon ship and say, well, what's the use? I have no hope at all. But he doesn't do that. I want you to notice what he does do. In verse 3, he says, but you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory, and the lifter of my head. David's whole focus wasn't on his problem. He's already climbing up the mountain to get away from Jerusalem. And yet, in the midst of that, when all others would have felt complete loss and hopelessness, David found solace in the Lord his God. That comes from spending time getting to know your God before the trouble hits and taking your thoughts and your focus off of the problem and the pain and putting it on God, whom you now trust because you know him well. What does he do? Well, verse 4, he gives us something that we all can do. I cried aloud to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy hill. He prayed. Prayer is absolutely essential. And yet, prayer is something that we find very difficult, but we still need to take time and pray. Stop looking at the problem, start taking the problem before the one that can do something about it. And he, David, went to the Lord in prayer, even amid fleeing from Jerusalem. Nothing changed. And yet he cried aloud to the Lord. Now, what is the outcome? The outcome for David at that point, when he was writing Psalm 3, was not that Absalom stopped fleeing and everybody hailed King David and said, oh, you're so wonderful. No, here's the outcome in his heart and in his mind that made all the difference for him. He says, verse 5, I lay down and slept. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of many thousands of people who have set themselves against me all around. David found the joy of rest, even in the midst of people trying to kill him. It only can come when you, first of all, know your God. Have you been redeemed by Jesus Christ and now you're in an intimate relationship with him? Get to know him. So when troubles come, the first thing you do is you go to the Lord in prayer and then take time to rest in faith in what God is doing. I pray that this would help encourage you and that you will find the rest and comfort even in the midst of a storm that you may be going through, because they do come. And unfortunately, they often come in threes. May the Lord bless you as you walk with the Lord.